Duke versus Houston, probably the brand name headliner of this round, especially just given the Duke resurgence that they showed against James Madison. But Kai, I want to just quick pause on that. Everyone's going nuts about the Duke backcourt, how hot they were in that game. In the loss against NC State in the ACC quarterfinals, Roach, McCain, Proctor, a combined 5 of 27 from the field. And now you're facing this crazy athletic perimeter that just survived by the hair of their chinny chin chin against Texas A&M. I think you're getting a massively engaged defensive effort from the Cougars. I worry that the Duke love of the backcourt is going to maybe be overdone this week and come down to earth against Houston. What are your thoughts here? Houston laying 3.5 total, a low total here in this round, 134.5.
Yeah, the Houston defense is insane. They're good at everything. And I think they can kind of shock opposing teams that aren't used to it. Like if Duke doesn't come to play, they will get hit in the mouth. And it might be just a total, it sends them reeling a bit when you first see that Houston defense. Now, if they hit shots, they can definitely win this game. Houston, if they are susceptible to anything, it's the perimeter hitting shots. And Duke has shown that they can do that. McCain looked like a true NBA talent against James Madison. We know Flip is Proctor's hitting. It's going to be pretty tough to beat Duke. The offensive glass, the foul line are also paths that Duke can exploit to score points offensively. On the other end, Houston could just bully him, man. Offensively on the glass, they are bullies. Shed is a terrific creator, especially off ball screens. Duke does defend that action pretty well. But again, Matt, it comes down to, will Duke be ready for the intensity at which Houston plays? If they can handle it, kind of bounce back to the initial shock of it, I think Duke can hang around. So I lean Duke on the spread. My heart's with Houston. I'm rooting for Kelvin Sampson and the Cougars to get it done, but lean towards Duke on the spread.
Gut tells me the physicality of Houston shocks Duke, as I've seen a couple times before this season. However, I like the over. Houston feels like I know their defense has gotten all the ink, but like, man, they're shooting the crap out of the ball. Like you got Shed there, Dyson through defenses. He gets the lane whenever he wants to. Cryer can shoot it from anywhere, mid-range and behind the arc. Sharp hasn't missed a shot since Nam, it feels like. And with the front line, especially Roberts, I know that Shin, they say, is fine. He almost like didn't play in this tournament because it was so bad. It kind of came back to it flare up again last game. And that front line all of a sudden felt a little bit brittle. And I know A&M is like one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country, but you saw A&M get to the glass, get to the rim a little more easier than I think people would have anticipated. Now, Duke they're not that physical, they're not that athletic, but they're more skilled, and I do think they can get in the teeth of the defense, loosen Houston up a little bit. I like the over 134, the way both teams are shooting it, scoring it, and with some of the concerns I have with both teams' front lines defensively. Sean Stewart, a big X factor here. But if John Steyer plays Ryan Young for more than 10 minutes, I will be calling his phone directly the day after. Final point here, Jim. The whistle will be a frustratingly important part of this. Whoever gets 2 fouls first, Filipowski, could Flip, or Roberts or Francis. I think that's going to be a pretty big key because Houston's so aggressive, and the whistle is such a key determinant in how their games are played and how they ebb and flow throughout.
Yeah, so is Coach K doing some back channel stuff? Because we know Shire doesn't lay into the refs the same way that Coach K did, and
he doesn't. Does he command the same fear as Coach K either? Right. So yeah, probably whistle probably skews toward Houston and Sampson the boys. Yeah, good Paul. Yeah,
potentially. I mean, the whistle I thought in the Houston Texas A&M game was heavy for Texas A&M. I mean, 4 starters fouled out for Houston. Granted, they commit a lot of fouls, but there were a couple late calls, specifically LJ
There's some bad
Cryer's
ones.
5th foul that gave Wade Taylor three shots and sent a good shooter out of the game was bad. But can Duke take advantage of that? A team that does foul fairly frequently. Duke's only 136 nationally in free throw rate. It's not something that they do all the time, especially their guards are not guys that put rim pressure on you. They are shooters. They are skilled guards. Only Mitchell and Filipowski really put pressure on you to get to the stripe. So I think that actually does favor Houston a little bit. And I totally agree with I thought James Madison's toughness would give Duke a little test, but it turned out Duke was so hot from the opening tip that it didn't end up fully mattering. And Houston is just a different beast. I'm going with the Cougars there, despite laying a short price. I think it's a little too short. Duke's great performances and Houston allowing Texas A&M back in the game, I think would have seen like 4.5, 5 if it wasn't for that Duke shooting explosion. So I'm going to take the Cougs.
I'm seeing
next-
Jim real quick. Jamal Shed 9-1 to win tournament most outstanding player. Not to get way too ahead of ourselves here. That sort of is like, okay, like he's been so good, and
Yeah.
like the narrative has been like clearly he has captivated. Like,
He
but
doesn't
the
leave
question
the
is, does
floor.
Houston win? Right? Doesn't leave the floor. If they win, he's winning it. The question is, do they win? And at least they're on the opposite side of the bracket as UConn. So I think that gives him like a better chance to go all the way. Now I just looked at this last player to win most outstanding player on a losing team was Hakeem
Won't
Olajuwon in
happen.
1983. So not going to
It'll
happen. So
never
you need
happen
Houston.
again.
You need Houston to win the tournament for him to win.
Yeah,
But I
but
think
it's
it's
a better
pretty
price
bet.
than betting Houston. Yeah.
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 Betting just Houston as a team. And I know Sharp has been obnoxiously scorching, but he only had 13 in the first round game. And there is an element of just like people know how good of a defender Shed is. It gives him the reputational bump. He controls every aspect of the game. He has the ball in his hands like constantly. I think it would be really stunning if Houston won the title and he did not win most outstanding player. So to your point, perhaps that's where the value is instead of betting Houston.